since I got both phones, I still got my old handouts from prom that they gave us in order to be successful learning how to do, a basic pre-trip. So I'm going to do my best to go by this. Now, as I do this, I most likely will not be able to respond to you guys' messages because I want to try to get this done and over with. So when it comes to doing your in-cab inspection, like, you know how I believe it's let me see, let me see, you got in-cab, you got the lights, you got coupling, you got the coupling area, you got the suspension. Hey J2 Trucker, how you doing? You got trailer inspection. You got the truck itself. So with the truck and trailer, you can get a few things wrong, but when you doing the brakes and the in-cab inspection, you literally cannot get nothing wrong. So I'm glad I got both phones because I'm gonna do my best to do it from the handout instead of doing it from just saying, oh, I guess we do it like this. Now I gotta give y'all facts when it comes to this. Alright, so from what it is saying, it says, please remember that the air brake test is part of the in-cab inspection. You have to do the air brake test. Hey, going to get 4,000. You back again, Mr. Nash, the man. Larry Sneed, how you doing, hun? How you say that? Oh, Tony, MSB, do your thing. I'm there. Oh, well, welcome. I appreciate it. So I need to comb my hair. But we got to get to this, y'all. So it says there are 3 stages to a air brake test. So number 1 is applied pressure test. Number 2 is pump down to a warning light and buzzer. We're going to get to all of that. Number 3 is pump down till tractor protection valves pop out, like the parking brake valves pop out. Now remember yesterday, I don't know who was in my live, but when I was trying to show y'all how to put the truck in neutral and you pop your brakes, you want to that's going to be part of your end cab as far as like you pumping the brakes until all the air go out, and then those things should pop out if everything is working right. So to prepare for the air brake test, the air pressure must be between 120 and 125 psi. Now every truck is different where the gauge, but on this truck, this is a Freightliner Cascadia. These are my 2 gauges. One is for the trailer, one is for the truck. So when it's saying it got to be over, what is it? It got to be over 120, 125 psi. So this is more than over 125 on both. So we are actually free to continue on with the test. So let me see. The air pressure must be between 120 to 125 psi or to the governor cutout point. Put the truck in the lowest gear, then turn the engine off. So we gotta put the truck in the lowest gear. That part I don't know, because when we did our test, I don't remember putting no truck in the lowest gear. But let's see, I'm gonna turn the truck off. And I'm gonna put the printout in my community section for everybody that's trying to figure out how to do it. So it says put your truck in the lowest gear, turn the engine off, turn the key back to the on position. So the lowest gear is, of course, the first gear. So once again, you're gonna clutch, and you're gonna put it. Shoot, I have to figure out why this damn thing will not go into gear. I think they gotta adjust this damn clutch. Well, I'm having a terrible time with getting this thing to go into gear. So let me play with it for a little bit. All right, let me play with it, because this thing acts funny when it wants to. All right, let me see, hold up. I guess it wouldn't go into gear if the truck ain't on. All right, wait, let's now. This thing still is not going into gear, hold up. Wait, let me put my full body weight on this sucker. I'm on that sucker. Get your ass. Okay, it's in gear. Damn, I'm going to take this damn truck to the shop because it should not be that hard to put this shit in the gear like that. So they definitely going to have to adjust that. All right. All right, so we got it in the lowest gear. Let's see. We got it in the lowest gear. The engine's off. And then when you turn the engine off, turn the key to the on position, which I have it to the on position. Push the tractor valves in. This will release the parking brake. So push the tractor. But you know what though? I might have to redo this video because I don't want to roll while I'm sitting in this door. So let me see. Push the tractor protective valve and this will release the parking brake. You have done your tug test on the trailer and the tractor. Matter of fact, that part of this, since I am in the door, I'm probably gonna have to save that for when they finish unloading me, because I can't be sitting here tugging on stuff and they going on and off this trailer. That's a safety hazard. So like I said, some of these videos that I'm doing, obviously it's gonna be a part 1, and it's definitely gonna have to be a part 2. So because I'm trying to do stuff while I'm working, you know, just to show you guys, because in the comment section, one person's like, please do a video on pre-trip, please. I say, you're right. Some people still trying to get their CDL. So most of the hardest part that a lot of people struggle with is this in-cab inspection. So you know what? For this video, just until I can get some space to actually like physically show y'all, this is going to be part 1. I'm just going to read you guys the handout. So I'm going to read you guys the handout, and as I read it, I'll show you guys the parts. So hopefully you can follow along with me to know what I'm talking about. And then in the next video, when I'm not in the door, I can actually like do this stuff, you know, like do it for real. All right, so I'm gonna start back from the beginning, and then I'm gonna try to read it verbatim until the end. And like I said, I got this stuff downloaded on my phone, and I'm going to put it in my community section for people that's trying to get their CDL. You can study from this. So, all right, I'm gonna start over. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's do it. All right, so please remember that the air brake test is part of the in-cab inspection. Air brake test. There are 3 stages to an air brake. You have to apply the pressure test. You have to pump down to the warning light and buzzer. And then you have to pump down to the protection valves pop out. So when they say protection valves, they mean your brake. They mean these things right here. So usually if you have both of these pop like pushed in, and for whatever reason you're losing air, the safety measure. Oh, who gave me money? Somebody gave me money. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, wait a minute, let me try to, I gotta give. Oh, Clarence Wheeler. Oh my goodness, Clarence. Shouts out. Shouts out to you, Clarence. I really shouts out to you, Clarence. I appreciate it so much. You gave me a lot of money before. I appreciate y'all. I have to really put together something for everybody that's really been like loyal fans. I have to put together something for y'all to show my appreciation, because please don't think that I don't appreciate when y'all do stuff like that for me. But thank you, Clarence, for the money. I really appreciate you. But let's get back to this handout. I know a lot of people are not school people, but for the people that's trying to get this, you have to sit in the class and you have to read this, you have to study this, you have to do it. So it's not about being born, it's about learning what you need to do so you can get your CDL. So these are the protection valves that they're talking about. And usually when this is the fuel. When the air tanks get below 60, when they get into the red, that's when the warning light come on. And when it gets below 40, that's when these will actually pop out. Like that's supposed to be a safety measure. And that happened to, I think, a couple trucks. I had some brake issues, and it lost air to where that stuff will pop out on you. All right, so to prepare for the air brake test, the air pressure must be 120 to 120 psi for the governor to cut out. And the governor is under the hood, so I will have to show you guys that once I get out the truck. But it's like you have an actual air pump on these trucks, and the air pump pumps air to all the brake chambers. Let me see. Let me get out and show you guys these parts, because a lot of times people struggle if you never ever like been around the truck, you have no clue about parts, or if you never ever, been a mechanic of any sort, you don't have no clue about trucks or anything. So let me see. Let me show y'all some of this stuff. Ooh-wee. I appreciate you, Clarence. That really shocked me. You gave me $50. Oh my goodness. Let's hope that this hood. Wait a minute. Let me sit y'all right here. Now, where the air governor, now, this right here, this round thing, this is an actual brake chamber. And this is your slack adjuster. And you're supposed to actually pull on this to make sure that there's not a lot of play in your slack adjuster, because that can indicate, some braking issues. But the governor, I'm trying to figure out where the governor is at on here. Let me see. Let me turn y'all going forward. Like, I know on here, they just show this the air pump right here. Matter of fact, this the air governor, I believe, right here. Like, you see where all the lines is protruding out of it? Like, all the lines go to all the air, all the air system. So this air pump actually pumps air to all of your brake chambers, like all the cylinders and everything in the air tank. And it can't keep just pumping. So in order for it to not just continue to pump and pump and pump before, it'll blow up, it has to get to the 120 to 125 psi, and then once it gets to that 125, the air governor steps in and it'll actually cut it off until the air drop again. So when it drops below that 120 is when that pump cuts on again. And it's like a whole cycle to where your air governor and the air pump, they work together consistently to keep your air, to keep your air at its proper level in them tanks and then the chambers and everything. So I don't know if I probably should leave this hood up, but this damn hood is heavy. Ugh. I know with Volvos, it actually confused me when I first had a Volvo, because obviously on all these Freightliners, and I think Peterbilt's, and I think Kenworth's too, like the hood, to be able to unlatch the hood is right here. So you unlatch the hood from both sides, and then you got to be able to lift the hood up to do your inspection, your pre-trip. So, all right. So now y'all know what brake chambers are, where the air pump is and the air governor is. And like I said, it's different locations on each truck. It just depends on what truck you have. But most likely, most people are getting Freightliner Cascadias. So, all right. So, the air pressure must be between 120 to 125 psi to the governor cut off. So I showed y'all what the governor was. Put the truck in the lowest gear. The lowest gear would be number 1. Turn the key off. You're going to have the key off. Once you turn the key off, then you're going to turn the key back to the on position. Push the tractor protection valves in, which is your brake. So you're going to push just the truck brake, not the trailer. So when you go to put just your truck brake in, majority of the time your truck brake is the right. This is your truck brake. Like on most trucks, just your truck brake is just this thing right here. This is the trailer brake, but we only, for the purpose of the in-cab inspection, going to worry about pushing this protective valve in. So, all right, so you're going to push that in. Let me see. Push the tractor protective valve in. This will release the brakes on the truck. So note, you have done your tug test on a trailer and tractor and have done the service brake check. So when they say do a tug test, and you're going to do this. Like if you hooking up to a trailer, you supposed to be tugging on that trailer to make sure that your fifth wheel is connected to the shank. Because sometimes you can think that your fifth wheel is connected to that shank, when sometimes you can have what's called, a high hook. So if you have a high hook, like let's just say this is your fifth wheel, you're just supposed to go flush and lock on the shank. But if it's a high hook, it can actually go above it, and then the back of your fifth wheel gets stuck. So when it gets stuck, you think you're connected, but you're not. So you're going to do your tug test, you know, to make sure that you're locked, but then you also going to get out and make sure you lock. So for people that might not know what a fifth wheel is, or you might not know what a shank is, once again, let me show you these parts. Let me show you these parts. So you see underneath here, you see that plate, this long plate, that's called your fifth wheel. And like I said, sometimes you can have a high hook to where the front of that fifth wheel will go behind the shank. I'm gonna show you what the shank is. That's why it's always good to get out and look. I don't know if y'all can see this, but y'all see where the claws are locked around? That part that is locked around, I would have to show y'all when I just, matter of fact, there's a trailer over there, but I don't know. Matter of fact, yeah, it's one right here. Like you see this right there? That's called a shank. So that is what your fifth wheel is locking around when you back into it. So you have to do your tug test, and part of doing your tug test is you going to, of course, have your truck running, and then you're going to put your truck, you know, in gear, and you're not going to be like, vroom. You're just going to you know, pull on a little bit just to make sure that it's locked. So once you know it's locked, now you can go to your next procedure. So let's see. So you know about the tug test, and you have done the service brake check. So the service brake check is actually looking at the drums. Shoot, nowadays I realize that some of these trucks are coming with rotors and pads. So a lot of these trucks nowadays, they're upgrading with the braking system. But of course on each wheel is brakes. So you're going to look inside the brake drum, look at the brake shoes, make sure that there's like no damage, no visible damage, and make sure that your brake shoes is even thick enough, because as y'all see, you don't want to be caught on a hill, incline, decline, and your brakes don't work, and then you have potential to be going up a runway or hitting something or dying because you don't have no brakes. So you have to check your brakes every day. So let's see here. Okay, I have done the service brake check. Pull forward to 5 miles per hour. Came to a smooth and full stop. So to really like check your brakes, the way you're supposed to do it with this is you're supposed to put your truck in gear, maybe put in like the third or fourth gear, so you can start going about 5 miles per, 5 miles an hour. So once you get going about 5 miles per hour, you don't like a harsh brake, but you brake to make sure that it comes to a stop. That's another way to check your brakes. So let's see. The tractor does it, and then when you do brake, make sure that, let's see. When you do brake, say it's going forward, right, and then you brake, you want to make sure that the steering wheel don't pull from the right to the left. Because sometimes if you have bad brakes or you have bad tires, the fact when you do brake and the steering wheel pulls from the right to the left can indicate that you have a braking issue or you have a tire issue. So if you do that check, you can catch these issues before you leave your company's yard or you leave the yard, or you can catch an actual shop before you get on the highway or get out there on the road, and then it gets worse and now you in trouble or you broke down when you could have just caught it before you left. So let's see. Just turn the key off and then back on. Leave the tractor in gear. Take your foot off the clutch, then the brake. Okay. All right. So let's see. The air brake test stage 1. Applied pressure test. Tell the examiner, and like when you doing your pre-trip, a lot of it is going to be wording. A lot of it's going to be how you say what you're checking. And a lot of times, most of it's going to be cracked. Make sure it's not cracked, bent, or broken, that is properly manufactured specs. You're going to say that I don't know how many times before you know you're going to be dreaming about not cracked, bent, or broken. You will have that so embedded in your head, is not cracked, bent, or broken. Like, man, I don't want to even hear cracked, bent, or broken no more. Goodness. But this is what you're going to say to the examiner. I'm going to fully depress the brakes and wait for the gauges to stabilize. So when you turn your truck on, you're supposed to let it cycle over. Let all the gauges cycle over. See, look. Try to show y'all as I go along. So you see how I'm gonna turn the key? I turn the key. You see how everything, the needles is going over and then back over? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to let your truck cycle over. That's the computer way of registering everything and, you know, rebooting and starting up to where now you can crank the truck. So I'm going to fully depress the brake and wait for the gauges to stabilize. That's what we just did. Point to the primary and secondary gauges. When they say point to the primary and secondary gauges, remember I showed y'all the air gauges to where one is for the tractor and one is for the truck? See, both tractor and truck have their own braking system. So since it has their own braking system, they each have their own gauges to tell you how much air is in either one of the systems. So when they say I'm going to point to both of the gauges, see, these are two air tanks, like two air tank gauges. One is for the trailer, one is for the tractor. So you're going to point to that and let the examiner know that you know what you're looking at and what you're talking about. So let's see. Point to the primary and secondary gauges, which we just did. I will be checking to make sure I don't lose more than 4. And you have to say this. Now, this you have to say. If you don't say that, like I said, if you miss anything on your air brake test, you fail. So like I said, you can get away with missing a couple things when you checking the trailer, or, you know, you doing the engine compartment, or you checking the truck or suspension. But when you're doing in-cab and brake inspection, you cannot get nothing wrong. If you get one thing wrong, you fail. So you have to say it like this. I will be checking to make sure I don't lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute while listening for air leaks. So when you're saying that, let me see. I'm not going to say I believe. That's when you depressing the brake pedal. Like you depressing it and you depressing it while the air. Matter of fact, I'm sorry. When you start the truck up, you're supposed to wait a little bit, and you're supposed to be looking at your air tanks to make sure that both of your air tanks stabilize. And you're going to wait within, like, you're going to count to 60 seconds. And while the truck is running and you count to 60 seconds, you should be looking at your gauges to make sure that you don't lose more than 4 psi within a minute. So that's what that is. So let's just say my truck was running. My needle shouldn't be going down no more than 4 psi. If you see this thing going down, that means you have a brake issue. And if you realize that you're losing more than 4 psi, your truck has an issue. So I'm gonna repeat what you're going to say to the examiner, because obviously the more you repeat it, the more you can retain it, the more you stick to it. So what you're going to say, and I'm gonna try to go slow. What you're going to say to the examiner is, I'm going to fully depress the brakes and wait for the gauges to stabilize. Point to the primary and secondary air gauges. I will be checking to make sure that I don't lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute while listening for air leaks. Okay, after application of the brakes and stabilization, then you ask the examiner to time you. So you want to time yourself, of course. Like I said, you're going to count to the 60 seconds and be paying attention to your air gauges to make sure you don't lose more than 4 psi. But you also going to ask, because your examiner going to be sitting in the passenger seat, like with his little notepad, looking at you, like just writing down his little notes, grading you and all that stuff. So when you tell him that's what you're going to do is listen, you know, to make sure that the gauge is stabilized and all this, then you going to look at him, could you please time me? Then he going to have his little timer and he going to time you. And within, you know, the 60 seconds, if you realize that you ain't lost more than 4 psi, then you can move on to the next thing of the in-cab inspection. So let me see. After application of the brakes and stabilization, they ask the examiner to time you. Will you time me starting now? So now he's going to time you. Now the minute is up. Air brake test stage 2. Pump down to warning light and buzzer. Pump down on the brake pedal until the warning light and buzzer come on at or before 60 psi. I think I can show you guys this. So with the truck off now, never ever 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 with the truck on. So with the truck off and the key on, I think you had the key off too. I believe you can have the key off too. But you're gonna pump and you're gonna hear the air. Like you're gonna see, you see how it's going down. You see how it's going down? And I'm steady pumping. See? So I know my air buzzer works. So I know my air buzzer works. So I'm not going to keep doing it because, like I said, I'm in the door, so I got to be careful how I'm doing this stuff before they come out here and get me. But the next phase of your test is like that's to make sure that your buzzer works. Because you want to make sure that your warning lights come on, of course, to warn you when your truck goes wrong. Because like I said, when you out here on this road, safety should be embedded in your head. And part of your safety is having your gauges warn you of a problem so that you can get the safety to get it fixed. So that's stage 2 of the test. Like I said, you're going to pump on the brake pedal until the warning light and buzzer come on at or before 60 psi. So as y'all seen on my truck, my gauge worked because at 60 psi, really kind of before, it started warning me that I'm losing air. So last but not least, stage 3 test. Pump down until tractor protection valve pops out. Pump down on the brake pedal until both the tractor protection valve and the park brake valve pops out between 40 to 20 psi. So obviously the red indicates that that's your problematic areas. So 60 is when that light will come on. When you get from, like, I believe this probably is about the 40 mark. Like this right here is probably about your 40 mark, and this got to be your 20 mark. So you want, like, if it get this low, these are supposed to pop out. And they can pop out while you drive it. It don't matter. They're supposed to pop out as a safety mechanism to give you brakes. Because obviously, if you got this bad and not having no air for you to brake, at that moment, literally, you don't have no more brakes. So if you lost that much air into that 40 psi or 20 psi zone, when you go to apply your foot on the brake, technically you're not going to have any brakes. So one of the safety features is for the emergency brakes, which is those valves, to pop out on their own for you to stop you. So I mean, it's going to stop you in a way to where you still might have an accident, but at least it's stopping you with the emergency brakes. You know, that's the safety measure. So an in-cab inspection can go really fast. It just takes you practicing. It takes you memorizing. So like I said, from what this thing says, it's 3 stages. So the first stage is applying the pressure test. The second stage in the pressure test is trying to pull forward, make sure your steering wheel don't pull right to left. That would indicate brake issues or tire issues. The second one will be pump down to the warning buzzer come on. I showed y'all how to do that. And then the last but not least is pumping it down to 60 to 40 to make sure that your valves will pop out the way they're supposed to. So I'm gonna have to do a part 2 because I mean I showed you what I can as I was going along. But I want to show you everything going, like when I'm from beginning to end, I want to show y'all. And like I said, I shouldn't even be doing any of this while I'm in the door, but I'm doing my best to kind of help you guys. Because somebody say, hey, do a pre-trip video. I mean, I already done a lot of them, but I never done an in-cab inspection one. But I'm going to do another one more formally. This is more of an informal video, so I'll be checking back in. But look, y'all. Sister straightened up as much as I could. Hold up. Look at Teddy. That's my baby. Well, I straightened up as much as I could. That's the sink. That's my pot. I ain't opened this yet. I'm going to wait to open that. But I got more water. Of course, I woke up. I got to find a way to mount my TV. Y'all see I was watching Martin earlier. So, yeah. Yeah, still got to straighten up a little bit. It's like, it's constant straightening up when you in this truck. But let me try to get to a few more of y'all messages before I get off of here. Let's see. Let me see. Hey, J2 Trucker. Hey, Tryon Slater. Amon Richardson. Hey, honey. Bernard Jones. How you doing? Hey, Tony. Hey, Mr. Mo Loves Music. Hey, Jay. I'm good. I can't complain. That's what's up. That's where it's at. I mean, I'm trying to be good every day. I'm trying to be. Tony MSB. Let me see. Do your thing. I'm new. I appreciate you following me too. Larry Sneed. I'm doing good. Mr. Nash Domain. That's what's up. Going to get 4,000. Good morning, YouTube, hon. How you doing, honey? I'm doing fine. I really. Let me see. Who gave it? Let me see. Let me try to remember. Mr. Clarence. I love you, Mr. Clarence. You always being good to a sister. I wish I had a real man like that in my damn life. Be just looking out for a sister like that. Hey, happy life. Good afternoon. Johnny Bell. We got going to get, let me see. Tammy Turner. This is the first time. And for real? Well, I'm glad that you've caught my live. Like I said, I'm just trying to help people. Because, I mean, I know that, like, I do YouTube. So you got so many, like a different audience. You got your fellow truckers. You got people that don't drive trucks. You got people that just watch it for the entertainment of it. So I know I still got people that's curious about getting into the trucking industry. So like I said, my whole purpose on this channel is to try to help people. And also too, you know, I get stuff off my chest. It helps with my frustration. But my number one goal is, of course, to help people. So somebody asked for me to post about the pre-trip, even though I already posted tons of videos about it, but I don't mind doing it again, especially if you're new to the channel. If you're new to my channel, you ain't got time to be scrolling through all my videos trying to find pre-trip, so I don't mind to try to, you know, help the best way I can. And then somebody else asked me, what they say, she was asking me how can she prepare to go to trucking school and what are some of the good trucking schools for women. So I'm doing my research to see what are good trucking schools for people in general and hopefully good trucking schools for women. That's kind of a tough one because it's like every trucking company, every trucking school, none of them's perfect. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, Prime, they're 100% the best, this, that, and the third. Like they all got their bull BS with them. Okay. So,
need a strap.
yeah, I got one.
Go ahead and let me have the strap and I'll put it up and you come in and sign.
Okay. All right, y'all. I'm going to check back in with y'all later, but all right, y'all. Deuces.